A profound quote from Mevlana Rumi is the key to a door that unlocks our curiosity. Look at the beginning if you want to see the end. Eyup Effendi says, Istanbul possesses many known and unknown names. Byzantium, Yankovis, Alexandria, Macedonia, Constantinople. Istanbul's name during the glorious era of the Ottomans was Istanbul, which means discover Islam and be fulfilled of it. The Turkish Republic changed this name into Istanbul. Before the Ottomans retreated from the stage of history for a certain time, Istanbul was the center of the world. It was the seat of government which ruled the world. In reality, this is a divine secret. The world is reigned from Istanbul. I documented my many visits to this magnificent city over the last 2 years and came up with 21 things to do in Istanbul. Why 21 things? Because the conqueror of Istanbul was only 21 when he conquered the greatest city on earth.
Subscribe now.
Make sure to stick around until the end of this video to see a bonus thing you can do when in Istanbul, and make sure to also like this video as well as subscribe to my channel.
Hi everyone, welcome to Taksim Square. Taksim Square is an important place to see because it's surrounded by shops, hotels, cafes. There is so much to see over here. It's a vibrant place. It's also got a tram that kind of comes here. It's one of those vintage trams. It's like red color. You may have seen it, and it's quite famous and synonymous with Istanbul when you think about it. It's also got this huge Cami, this huge masjid over here, and we've just come here for the Friday prayers. It was wonderful. There's also a cafe behind this Cami, which has a library of books in it. It's absolutely wonderful, and also it's not so expensive as well. That's what I'm going to say to you guys. You also get some stalls where you can get some street food from, and it's absolutely delightful. So all in all, it connects you to Istiklal Street, and when you walk on this street, which I'm going to show you, it also takes you right to the Galata Tower, which is another important place to see when you're here. It's a must-see place to see when you come here to Istanbul. So whether it's daytime or evening time, Taksim Square is always lively. It doesn't make much of a difference. The only thing is that there's a different energy with regards to whether it's daytime or if it's nighttime. But when the lights come on, there's a really cool atmosphere, I must say that. So do check out both the atmospheres. The sun is kind of coming down now, and you've got the sweet corn stands there. You've got the nostalgic trams in the back as well. And the sun's gone down. You know, in the summer months, it's kind of cool to have that because it gets a little bit cool down for us. So yeah, both the atmospheres, both the times of day is important to experience over here in Taksim Square. One thing about Istiklal Street is this, that no matter what time you come here, whether it's 5 p.m., whether it's 5 a.m., you're gonna find it this busy because this place is immensely popular. Okay, we've just gone onto Istiklal Street, and at the moment it's 3:53. So I'm gonna give you an idea as to how long it takes you if you're walking at a normal pace to get right to the other side of Istiklal Street where you find the Galata Tower. So my top 3 things to do over here. Number 1, come over here to Hafiz Mustafa. It's one of the best cafes in the whole of Istanbul. There's a chain of these, but you can come over here to Istiklal Street and have it here.
So if you just bring the camera down here so I can show you exactly what we have. So we have a baklava wrapped around a milk cake, pistachio milk cake topped with vanilla ice cream. Now it looks amazing. Let's see if it tastes just as amazing.
The drums are rolling. Yeah, let's have a look.
So here we are.
That's it. Moment of truth.
Moment of truth, guys.
Can we have a more queens, please?
Wow.
That's it.
Out of 10, it's got to be a 9. So you got the soft vanilla ice cream on the top.
Yeah.
And then you got the spongy pistachio, which really comes through in the milk cake.
Yeah.
And then you got the crispiness of the baklava. So just the textures of them all just It's like heaven in your mouth. If you're ever in this area, if you're ever visiting Istanbul, this is where you come for your desserts.
You can come to one of these stands and get some sweet corns. So do get it from me over here because you won't regret it. It's delicious.
Salt?
A little bit, us. Okay. Chocolate. Chocolate. Ooh, it's hot. Now this behind me is a locantası, and this is like a homemade, if you want some homemade food, Turkish homemade food, it's the equivalent of that. It's a restaurant, but it's like homemade food. And the best one I've found over here in Istiklal Street is this one, which is called Beyoğlu Halk Doner. And here, I used to come here and I used to get some rice, and I used to get some chicken as well, and this would give me like an ayran, which is a famous Turkish ancient drink. And it was so satisfying, so satiating, and it was immensely cheap as well. So I remember coming here for the first time, and it only cost me about £2 at the time. That's how cheap it is. So maybe it's gone up, it's inflated a little bit. If you don't want to walk for the walk time that I'm going to show you, what you should do is you can get the red tram, the vintage tram, and it will take you from one end to the other. This way, it will save you a bit of time, and there's that convenience with that. I grabbed a bargain over here. I grabbed this for about 20 Turkish liras, this soft ice cream, so quite cheap once again. This is a dervish lodge, and this was firmly in our plans to show in this video as one of the top things to see. However, it's temporarily closed, but maybe in the future, when you're going through Istiklal Street, walking towards Galata, or from Galata you're going to Istiklal Street, do come over here, you know, because this is a legendary place. Welcome to the Galata Tower. Now, the time is 4:32, so it's taken around 40 minutes to get to the end from Istiklal Street to over here. It could have taken longer had we just dwelled around. So you get an idea of how long the street is. Anyways, the Galata Tower is behind us. Let's go inside. Just opposite the tower, you have this nostalgic tram over here, and this is like a ticket office. So if you want to get a pass to go inside, to go right on the top and get like a view from the top, from the roof, then you can buy it from over here. Now, if you do buy from over here, to get in is about 650 Turkish liras. But if you have a museum pass, so if you've got citizenship in this country, then it becomes much more cheaper and you can go inside. And to multiple places, not just Galata Tower, you can also go to the Topkapi Museum, to the Antalya Museum. Check out my Antalya video as well. And so, yeah, let's go inside. So, after 2 years of waiting, finally going inside to the Galata Tower. So I always thought that you have to walk upstairs. Maybe there is that option, but you can also take the lift if you need to take the lift, because it would be a lot of steps to get up there. Directly beneath the cone of the Galata Tower. Now, the elevator takes you up to the 6th floor. This is the 8th floor, so you have to walk up 2 floors to get up to the 8th floor. But this is where you're right at the top and you get a spectacular view of the Golden Horn, of the Jamis like the Hagia Sophia, for instance, the Blue Mosque, and some other ones as well. So I'm so excited. The Galata Tower was constructed during the Byzantine era and was used as a watchtower. At the time of construction of the Galata Tower, this was the tallest building in the entire city at 66.9 meters tall. Honestly, I knew that the scenes and the view is going to be incredible, but I don't think I was expecting it to be this great. This is like 11 out of 10. Bear in mind, this year I was at Neuschwanstein Castle, in Bavaria and Germany, and that's one of the best views that you can see in Europe, but this surpasses anything. This is my favorite city on the planet, and you can see the Hagia Sophia behind me, which is an incredible symbol of this city. You also got the Blue Mosque as well. You got the view of the Golden Horn. So what an amazing feeling just to be up here. Istanbul, tüm dünyanın en güzel şehridir. And this whole thing, the Bosphorus Sea, this reminds you of the conquest, 1453. Sultan Mehmet Fatih, what a legend.
It is believed that in 1638, Ahmet Çelebi, who was an Ottoman polymath, inventor and scientist, made the first intercontinental flight from the Galata Tower using strapped-on wings, and he ended up landing in Üsküdar, which is in the Asian side of Istanbul, while the Galata Tower is situated in the European side. And this story was recounted by the famous Ottoman traveler, Olya Çelebi.
It is incredible to think that Ahmet Çelebi, in the early part of the 17th century, was able to fly from here to Üsküdar. That is absolutely unheard of. And this is why you got to dig very deep into historical documents and archives, because if you don't do so, you'll think that someone else was the inventor of such a thing, of being able to fly. So it's what an amazing piece of history. What an amazing piece of information that someone was able to fly from here in the year 1638. Incredible. Okay, so when you're up here, you can walk around. Usually it's kind of busy, but if you are a little bit patient, you can kind of get some space. The view through the binoculars is absolutely amazing. Like, you can see Eminönü from here. If you look at the other side, you can see perhaps the Hagia Sophia. You get like a 360 view of the city if you go around checking all the binoculars over here. So this is the 5th floor, and they actually ask you to walk down the whole way, unless you're a bit older or you have some sort of like difficulty, then you can come down with the elevator. However, you get some good, interesting things to see here, exhibits to see on each floor as you're going down. One of the narrow paths you have to walk through to get down, but it's all cool. It's part of the fun. Oh, look at this. Whoa. Look at this. The history of the Galata Tower. They've done a really good job, actually, by the way. I saw it, you just go up there and you just have a view, but I didn't realize that there's going to be 8 floors, and each floor is going to have some sort of exhibit. It's going to be a little bit of a museum. Some of the history is going to be shown to us, and different periods of the Galata Tower, which has been around for almost 1,000 years, will be shown and shared with us. The lower floor has a shop over here, and look at these frames. Worth every penny, even if you're paying the full amount. Okay, so we are at the legendary Cag Kebab, and this is one of the best restaurants you must come to if you're in Istanbul. Trust me. This is the dish that you want to get for yourself, which is the Cag Kebab itself. So Cag Kebab is a meat doner which is cooked on a horizontal pit. And when I had it last time, it was immensely delicious because the way it's cooked, it's got that strong smoky taste to it, which is incredible when you take your first bite. And they have a very simple menu. So they have a simple esme over here. They have this wonderful onions here as well, a little bit of salad as well. Really, if you want to have anything else, they've got a couple of desserts. They've got like a Cag Kebab durum, like it's essentially a wrap with the same meat that we're going to be having. Simple dish, but immensely famous. It's won a lot of awards, and a lot of influencers, a lot of food vloggers, famous food vloggers have come here. And even though it's 10 o'clock right now, it's really late, and I'm sure even after this, it's always busy. Whenever I've been here, whenever I walk here or pass by the char kebab, it's always busy. And here it is, the char kebab. What do we get? This durum wrap here, and a couple of skewers. And look at that, moist in there. It's crispy, smoky, barbecue flavor. Look at the moisture in that. I can't wait to start. I can't wait to also have the onions with it, the esme with it, some of the salads with it, and just begin eating this. One bite over here, and get some of these onions too. Bismillah. Muhteşem. Harika. You run out of superlatives. There's no words to describe this. Absolutely magnificent. Really, really delicious. Moisty, barbecue flavor. As I said, it's top quality. If you rate this, you have to give it a 10 out of 10. A lot of people say to me, oh, Imran, I came to Istanbul and the food wasn't so good there. And I say to them that the reason why is because you usually go to the tourist areas. Now, although this is Fatih district, which is full of tourists, but in the whole of this area, this restaurant is an exception. It's an anomaly because the food here is world class. You know, I'm sure that the amount of awards that this char kebab, Shehzade Cag Kebab has won, it can compete on a world level. You must come here, you know? So if some of you guys want to come to me after watching this video and say to me that, oh, you know, all the restaurants in Istanbul are bad, that means you haven't come over here, you know? So I'm going to be asking you, whether you come here. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Balat. When you come to Balat, it's not just one place. You have to kind of keep walking through the streets because there's many of these houses that appear. So as you're walking, you'll see some interesting places.
Now the question arises, should one visit Balat? The answer is definitely. It's a must-visit destination for anyone interested in exploring Istanbul's rich history and cultural heritage. With its colorful streets, stunning views, and vibrant local culture, it's a unique and fascinating neighborhood that shouldn't be missed.
But in addition to that, when you come here, it's quite a trendy place. It's got some really trendy cafes and restaurants that you may want to check out, although they may be a little bit pricey. However, it's worth seeing Balat because it's Instagram worthy if you're into that.
Buyurun. Hoppa. Çek. Oh, çektim.
If you're in Balat, make sure to come over here to this street. Like, you've got restaurants, cafes, but I recommend you to get one of these slush puppies. Only about 10 liras, quite small, quite cheap. Some people were saying it's expensive, but it seems reasonable, if I'll be honest with you. One Selim will come and will take the sacred trusts. Allah Selim will come and will hand over the sacred trusts. This is Yavuz Sultan Selim the First. He is the first Khalifa of the Ottoman Empire. He is also the grandson of Sultan Mehmet Fatih and the father of Sultan Suleyman the Magnificent.
Now, if you're in Balat, you must visit the tomb and the Cami of Yavuz Sultan Selim Khan, who was the 9th of the 36 Ottoman sultans that have already appeared. He was also the first Ottoman sultan to have become caliph when he took the caliphate from the Abbasis when he entered into Egypt. He reigned between the years 1512 to 1520. And interestingly, on the tomb of Sultan Selim I, you'll see a shirt. And the reason why a shirt appears on top of his tomb is because when the mud of the horse of one of his scholars spilled on his shirt, he instructed the shirt with the mud to be put over his grave to demonstrate that the mud of the horse of a scholar is more valuable than anything else in his eyes. And like many of the countless Ottoman jamis and masjids that you'll find in Istanbul as well as in other parts of Turkey, you must also visit the Cami of Yavuz Sultan Selim Khan, which is also within the complex of where the tomb of Sultan Selim I is. So definitely take a look at it because it is an absolute masterpiece. And since the complex of Yavuz Sultan Selim Khan's tomb and Cami is built on top of a hill, you get magnificent views of Istanbul.
So this is the tomb of Sultan Abdulmajid Khan, and he ruled for 22 years. So the construction of the Dolmabahce Palace was commissioned by the 31st Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, which is Sultan Abdulmajid. And although Sultan Abdulmajid came many centuries after Yavuz Sultan Selim, who was the 9th Sultan and he's the 31st Sultan, he requested to be buried over here in the same complex as Yavuz Sultan Selim. They've made some remarkable changes over here.
The Basilica Cistern was constructed by Eastern Roman Emperor Justinus I in 542 AD to provide water requirement of the Great Palace. Due to the brilliance among the marble columns arising within the water, it was called as Yerabatan Cistern by the public. The name Basilica in foreign sources was said to come from the Elias Basilica being close to the cistern. Basilica Cistern is a huge building. Here, there are 336 columns, each of which is 9 meters high. The columns, erected at intervals, make 12 lines, being 28 at each line. The cistern was repaired several times as yet. In the era of Ottoman Empire, it was restored twice, and one of them was made by architect Kaysarali Mehmet in the era of Ahmet III. The second restoration was in the era of Sultan Abdulhamid Khan II. In the Republican period, the cistern was cleaned by Istanbul municipality in 1987 and opened for visit. Basilica Cistern, besides being a museum, also hosts various national and international events.
Now, this Basilica Cistern was built 1500 years ago during the Byzantine era, which is many years before the Ottomans arrived into Istanbul. Now, there's water over here, and what is said is that this water used to be supplied to the city back in the Byzantine era. Like, they've added these enhanced displays through light shows, so you'll see the pillars turning green sometimes, white, red, and it just looks incredible when you're looking at the pillars. It really enhances the display. So it's a cool place to come to because it's very unique. I don't know if there's places like this or to this level, to this extent in the world. So definitely come over here. And when you come over here, in order to find it, it's very close to the Hagia Sophia. It's 1500 years old and it's reopened after a few years of restoration as well. There's been some really significant enhancements over here in terms of the lighting, in terms of some of the additions that they've added in between the water section. So overall, I'll give this experience, I won't rate it. I'm just going to say to you that it's a must. If you're here and you're missing it, you're doing something wrong. So definitely come to the Basilica Cistern and let us know where you are planning to go to when you come over here to Istanbul, here in Turkey.
The Grand Bazaar in Istanbul is one of the largest and oldest covered markets in the world. Its construction started in 1455, shortly after the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople. Today, you can buy everything from lamps souvenirs, carpets, and jewelry from one of the 4,000 shops in the bazaar.
The Hippodrome of Constantinople was a public area mainly used for chariot races. It was also home to gladiatorial games, official ceremonies, celebrations, protests, torture to the convicts, and so on. In the year 390, the Byzantine Emperor Theodosius I brought this obelisk from Egypt over here to the then Constantinople. And this obelisk is believed to be 3,500 years old. And in spite of that, in spite of the fact that it's ancient, it's in very good condition considering this fact. Another important fact I wanted to share with you is that the Hippodrome also houses the Museum of Turkish Islamic Arts. So if you're in this area, do go and check that out.
The German fountain is a gazebo-styled fountain, and it was constructed to commemorate the second anniversary of German Emperor Kaiser William II's visit to Istanbul in 1898. It was built in Germany, then transported piece by piece and assembled in its current site in the year 1900. The Neo-Byzantine style fountain's octagonal dome has 8 marble columns, and the dome's interior is covered with golden mosaics.
All right, welcome today. We are here at the Camlica Masjid, based over here in Üsküdar, Istanbul. And this is my first impression. It is so grand. And it was only opened in the year 2019, so it's very new. And it's also inspired by the design of the famous architect Sinan. So private garden, conference hall, mosque entrance. There's a museum. So this has some Islamic historical relics. So I'm very excited to see them. So this takes us up to the entrance to the prayer hall. So you can get a glass lift if you don't want to use the steps. Yunus Emre, Hoca Ahmet, Yaşavi,
Düşeceksin sen.
Sultan looks magnificent. Osman Bey.
Hadi orada bir şey yok.
Once you come into this main square area of the masjid, it is surrounded by many bookstores as well as different items. Like over here, you have these wonderful pictures and paintings, but you also have, with calligraphy, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Arabic calligraphy, important names. And what's interesting is that this is the frame, but within the frame, you can see that the middle part where the Arabic writing is, the Quranic writing, or where the paintings are done, it's made of stone, so you can actually feel that. So the quality is really good, and it's only about 40 liras for, I think, for the small ones over here, and then I think it's 65 liras for this over here. But there's a lot of interesting things like this when you walk around, and really good books, and they're quite affordable as well. Okay guys, so this is Camlica Mosque. The planning of this mosque began in the early 2000s, and the architects of this masjid are two females. This masjid is inspired by the Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan. So when you look around, you see the minarets, you see the domes, and this masjid has a staggering 70 domes. And it also contains 6 minarets. Now the minarets are each 107.1 meters tall. And why this is significant is because in the year 1071, Sultan Alparslan, who was the Seljuk Sultan, was able to defeat the Byzantines, and he was the gateway to Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey. So this is very interesting. Now the project cost about $110 million approximately to make, and this masjid opened in the year 2019. Another interesting fact is that when you go inside the main hall, and you see the minbar, the pulpit where the imam sits. The cool thing about the minbar is that it's got like an elevator in it, and I've never heard of something like this ever before. I've been to many mosques, different countries, but it's actually got an elevator. Now, they were saying that the imam over here is very young, so he doesn't actually need it, but if an imam that is a little bit elderly, maybe it's possible that he may require to go up using the lift. So that's quite interesting. And another cool thing is that where the Imam prays, just beside that area, there's this design of flowers. When you look closely to these golden flowers, there's like a couple of flowers, and it's got these two dots. It's got these two black circles. Well, the two black circles, it's very beneficial for people that are hard of hearing, because when the Imam is reciting, there's a special area in the masjid, and there's a screen beside it as well. So those people with hearing difficulties are able to follow the Imam with much more ease. Okay, some more additional interesting facts is that when we were inside the masjid itself, there was someone I was working with in the masjid was telling us that the height between the ground and all the way up to the dome is about 72 meters, which signifies 72 ethnicities that live within Istanbul as a city. Now, we are outside, and I actually asked that individual that why was this mosque, this grand mosque, built over here in the Asian side in Üsküdar, and they were saying that this is built on Camlica Hill, which is the highest hill in the whole of this Asian area. So it is easy for people to actually see the mosque from a distance over the Bosphorus. And also that there was a requirement because of the fact that in the European side of Istanbul, there are many historical facts. There's the Topkapi Museum, there's like the Hagia Sophia, there's the Blue Mosque, and there's the Galata Tower. But there's something grand missing in the Asian side. So by coming here, I can see how huge this is and why they decided to build this. And it took almost like 20 years to build this as well, which is incredible. And when you come here to Camlica Hill, which is obviously located beside the masjid itself, there's a lot of people that sit down with their picnic mats, and as it's almost nearing iftar time, and as it's Ramadan as well, people are waiting to break their fast as well. So it's a good area to actually come over here and break your fast. And you also get the view of the golden hour as well. The sun is setting at the moment. And also beside this hill, you have a children's play area as well. So there's swings and there's different other activities that children can do. And the hill also has different layers, like you can go a bit more up, so you can ascend up, and there's more to see. So, and also you get a great view of the mosque itself. It looks absolutely marvelous. So you get a great view of the mosque, but then you also get a great view of the sun setting as well. So it's a great atmosphere over here, and I can't wait to break my fast over here.
Taksim'e gidecek yolcularımızın Selim'den hatlarınızı kullanmak gerekmektedir. Bir taksici,
Today we are here at Dolmabahce Palace. This is the palace that was constructed, or Sultan Abdülmecid, one of the Ottoman sultans in 1853, instructed to have it built. And today we are going to not go inside because we are not permitted to go inside and show you the inside rooms, but we are going to be walking around, the exterior, around the gardens. So just come follow me a little bit. I'll show you a bit of the extent of what we are dealing with over here today, because there's an immensity, a grandeur about this place. It's absolutely sensational. So just look at it. It's absolutely wonderful. You have these marble stones, as you can see. There's a lot of people over here today. And what is so great is that it's been a dream of mine to actually come over here for like over a year now. I've seen it in a couple of Turkish shows, and I was like, wow, Dolmabahce Palace. I've been here to Istanbul 3 times before, but how comes I have never come across this? So very, very fascinating to have come here today and seen for myself how the sultans, how they lived, how their families lived, how their wives, children, how the dignitaries that would come over here, how they would be seated and how they would be entertained. So we got the opportunity to go inside and see everything, and it was absolutely mesmerizing. It was also a way of enhancing our knowledge, but obviously we couldn't bring the camera inside. But just come with me, I'm just gonna show you a few things. This is obviously the Bosphorus Sea, the most significant sea on the planet. There's a reason why this is significant, because this Bosphorus is linked to many different countries. So you have a lot of like ships, you can see boats, you can see all these different sea vehicles, and a lot of trade happens from over here. So when the Ottomans were able to do the conquest of Constantinople, which is present-day Istanbul, it was a hugely significant moment because of where this place is actually situated. The most significant sea on the planet, definitely for the past 1,000 years. So let's have a look over here. This is the view that the Sultans would have got. Now, behind me is the Bosphorus over here. And what's fascinating is that the final Sultan he was exiled from here. So he had to take a boat, and he departed from this very place.
The Rumeli Fortress was conceived and built between the years 1451 and 1452 on the orders of Fatih Sultan Mehmet Han. The complex was commissioned in preparation for a planned Ottoman siege on the then Byzantine city of Constantinople, with the goal of cutting off maritime, military and logistical relief that could potentially come to the Byzantines' aid by the way of the Bosphorus Strait. Hence, the fortress's alternative name is the Strait Cutter Castle. Its older sister structure, Anatolian Fortress, sits on the opposite bank of the Bosphorus, and the two fortresses worked in tandem during the final siege to throttle all naval traffic along the Bosphorus, thus helping the Ottomans achieve their goal of making the city of Constantinople their new imperial city in the year 1453.
During the construction of this fort, 300 craftsmen, 700 to 800 laborers, 200 boatmen, carriers, carters, and deck crew were employed. It took about 4 months to construct this castle, only using this amount of people, which is an incredible feat considering how grand this fortress is and the importance of it during the conquest of Istanbul in 1453.
One thing about Rumeli Fortress is that there's a lot of steps here. Where did it go up or where did it come down? Right now we are going to the very first masjid that was made in Istanbul after the conquest. So this is a special occasion for me.
So today we are here at Kadim Kahve, which is located here in the Asian side of Istanbul, and it's directly located when you come to Üsküdar. And it's very easy to get here. So if you take whether the train or whether you come here by the ferry boat, it's just opposite the street when you come off. And it's got a wonderful atmosphere in here. Some traditional music, some traditional Turkish music is played over here as well. And the dishes over here are marvelous. You have like soups of the day, you have pizzas as well. You have traditional Turkish food that, comes to mind, as well as some incredible drinks. Like you have, we just ordered chai, but you can get different types of kahve, you can get different types of coffee, you can get different types of smoothies and milkshakes, all of these drinks. But it's really the atmosphere and the view of the Bosphorus that you get when you come up one floor. So all in all, it makes it a wonderful experience to be here. The interiors over here are incredible. It's got stonework, so it's got high quality associated to it. But anyways, let's get to something I've ordered. This is the mushroom pizza, so I'm gonna check it out. I'm quite excited to have it. Bismillah. Mashallah, that is so fresh. Like all the ingredients in there, like the peppers and the mushroom itself, really fresh. The texture of it's wonderful. The moisture and the cheese, absolutely A1 quality. I have my favorite beverage or hot beverage, which is the Osmanlı Kahve. So, as you may know, I like things that are Ottoman, and it's befitting that the best drink, the best coffee that I've ever had in my life is an Ottoman coffee. It's named after Ottoman. And I don't know if that's a coincidence, but when I have it, I'm always very pleased by it. So the traditional way, the right way, the correct way of having this Osmanlı Kahve is to have one glass over here of water, then you have the Osmanlı Kahve itself, and also you have a lokum, a Turkish delight over here. But this one's quite a creative way of presenting the Turkish delight. Anyways, I'm gonna take this water in. So I think the tradition goes, you've got to drink this first, but anyways, you don't need to, you can make your own rules up in that as well. You don't need to follow the rules completely when it comes to Osmanlı Kahve. Bismillah. Ooh. I don't know how to describe it, but if you've never had this coffee, because there's a lot of coffee options, definitely try Osmanlı Kahve. I've made videos on this in the past. The taste of it is so strong. It's quite small in quantity, but it's something that I'm gonna give you a task to try and fulfill. And one of the tasks is gonna be that when you come to Istanbul, you say to me in the comment section that, you know what, I actually tried out Osmanlı Kahve. So let me know if you do, and let me know whether you enjoyed it as much as I enjoy it. I'll be very interested to see what you think of it, because when I have it, I really enjoy it, but I always wonder, would other people enjoy it as much as I do? So I'm gonna give you a task. Do try coming to this particular restaurant and try this out. And let me know whether you tried it and what you thought about it, whether you liked it, enjoyed it as much as me, or whether you thought it was okay,
The Istanbul Naval Museum is located in the Beşiktaş district of Istanbul. It was established in 1897 by the Ottoman Minister of the Navy. The museum contains an important collection of military artifacts pertaining to the Ottoman Navy. In the maritime field, it is Turkey's largest museum, with a variety of collections. Around 20,000 pieces are present in its collection, including the late 16th or early 17th century Ottoman gallery, built in the period between the reigns of Sultan Murad III and Sultan Mehmet IV. Being connected to the Turkish Naval Forces Command, it is also the country's first military museum. The basement consists of diverse items like figureheads, ornaments of naval ships, ship models, and pieces of the Byzantine chain that was used for blocking the entrance of the Golden Horn during the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople in 1453. Many exhibition items underwent special restoration and conservation works due to deformation of the raw materials caused by heat, light, humidity, atmospheric conditions, vandalism, and other factors. From my personal experience of going into this museum, I was immensely impressed by the vastness of the items that you can go and see, by the vastness of the exhibits that you can see over there. Therefore, I recommend you that if you have at least 5 days in Istanbul, do go and check out this museum. You won't regret it, especially if you are into history. The Eyup Sultan Mosque is in the Eyup district of Istanbul, outside the city walls and near the Golden Horn. The mosque complex includes a mausoleum marking the spot where Eyup Sultan, the companion of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, is buried. The feeling that you get by going to the complex of Eyup Sultan is something that one has to experience on their own to be able to begin to understand how immense and wonderful that feeling is. Prophet ﷺ entered Medina on his camel. The chieftains of the city stood along his path, each one wishing to have the honor of the Prophet ﷺ, alighting and staying at his house. One after the other stood in the camel's way, entreating, "Stay with us, Ya Rasulullah." "Leave the camel," the Prophet ﷺ would say. "It is under command." The camel continued walking, closely followed by the eyes and the hearts of the people of Yathrib. When it went past a house, its owner would feel sad and dejected, and hope would rise in the hearts of the others still on the route. The camel continued in this fashion with the people following it until it hesitated at an open space in front of the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. But the Prophet ﷺ did not get down. After only a short while, the camel set off again, Prophet ﷺ leaving its reins loose. Before long, however, it turned round, retraced its steps, and stopped on the same spot as before. Eyup Sultan's heart was filled with happiness. He went out to the Prophet ﷺ and greeted him with great enthusiasm. He took Prophet ﷺ's baggage in his arms and felt as if he was carrying the most precious treasure in the world. Prophet ﷺ stayed in Eyup Sultan's house for almost 7 months until his mosque was completed on the open space where his camel had stopped. Eyup Sultan was martyred during the first siege of Constantinople, and his blessed grave was found by Sheikh Akshamsuddin, who was the spiritual guide of Fatih Sultan Mehmet.
So whenever a coronation of an Ottoman Sultan will take place, it would take place here at the Eyup Sultan Cami. And that would be because this place is significant when you consider how holy it is. And the great thing about the Ottomans is that they never separated religion from politics. They always combined the two together. All right, so what I'm going to do is, it says TF2 Eyup to Pierre Loti. So let's walk over here. Okay, so we have to go down first, and then we'll get our tickets from over here. Teleferic. Remember, I've said this a few times before, and this is like one of the Turkish words of the week. Teleferic means cable cars. Okay. And we can use our Istanbul card over here as well, so that's kind of cool. So now I'm gonna wait. Ben bekleyeceğim. The Eyup Pierre Loti aerial cable car line opened in November 2005 in order to provide easy access for both local and foreign tourists. Pierre Loti district constitutes the most important observation deck of the Golden Horn. There are a total of 4 cable cars with a journey time of just under 3 minutes and a line length of 384 meters. The operational hours are between 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. The cost for this cable car journey is just 4 Turkish liras each way, which is 27 cents, and you can use your Istanbul card to pay for this. Alright, so we are here at Pierre Loti Hill, and we are here during golden hour. We've come from Eyup Sultan over here. Right at the back, as you can see, the cable cars brought us up. It's not so long, it only takes about 3 minutes journey. And from here, you can see the view of the entire Golden Horn. So the entire Golden Horn, so you can see Galata Tower right there in the distance. You can kind of see that faintly from up here. And there's also a lot of cafes over here, which we're going to show you in the videos. So might go and sit there and have a bit of coffee as well. But the views are sensational, they're scintillating, you know. And you feel a lot of peace stood up here because you can kind of have a look and just take in everything that you're seeing. You know, this is, maybe I've said it before, this is my favorite city in the world. For me, it's the best city in the world. And then you come up over here and you see this view.
You can take a stroll from the Eyup Sultan Cami up to the Pierre Loti Hill, which was named after a French novelist who often came up here for inspiration. On your way up, you'll see many small stalls selling handcrafted goods, as well as the Eyup Cemetery that is situated along this hill. You can also choose to take the telepheric up to the Pierre Loti Hill, where many people gather to watch the remarkable sunset across the Golden Horn each evening. At the top of the hill, you'll also find the Pierre Loti Cafe, where you can enjoy traditional Turkish tea, coffee, appetizers, and desserts whilst taking in the breathtaking views of Istanbul. Ortakoy is a neighborhood within the Beşiktaş district of Istanbul. It is a popular tourist area with small arts galleries, souvenir stalls, and the iconic Ortakoy Cami. You can find numerous food stalls selling mostly kumpir, a Turkish-style jacket potato.
So today we are here at Suleyman Masjid, and I feel a little bit ashamed that I've been coming for 14 years to Istanbul and I've heard of this. For some reason we haven't come and seen this, you know, so it's the first time we're coming here and I'm super excited as a result of that, because not only is it an amazing architecture, but also it has Sultan the Just, Sultan the Magnificent, also the great architect Mimar Sinan is buried over here. This is where Sultan Suleyman the Magnificent, the Sultan who was in power when the Ottoman Empire were at its pinnacle during the 16th century, when they went through, or when they were within 3 continents, which is incredible. Suleyman the Magnificent was born in Trabzon in the year 1494. His mother was Hafsa Sultan and his father was Yavuz Sultan Selim, the first Islamic Khalifa of the Ottoman Empire. He takes his name from the Prophet Suleyman alayhi salam, whose name appeared in a Quran page that opened on the birthday of Suleyman. Rather than his original name, nowadays he is known by the name Kanuni, namely the lawgiver. Also, modern Western writers recognize him as the Magnificent or the Great Turk. By managing and guiding the military campaigns to Rhodos, Corfu, Mohacs, Vienna, Kosse, Iraq, Moldavia, Hungary, to name a few, he accomplished an unapproachable record, and thanks to the victory of Preveza, Ottoman Empire has proven to the world that they are strong on the sea as they are on the land. After praying in the Abu Ayyub al-Ansari tomb, Suleyman I, who left Istanbul, where he would never see again, befitting his dignity, he died in the battlefield at the night of September 6th to 7th, 1566, during the siege of the Zigetsvar castle. He was buried to his tomb, which is nearby the funeral ceremony area. Due to the common era, Sultan Suleyman has the longest sultanate during the Ottoman history, with 46 years regency. Suleyman I also became prominent with his philanthropy, foundations and charities, and he supported the building of magnificent artifacts such as Suleymaniye Cami, Abu Hanifa complex in Baghdad, Konya Mevlana complex. Also, he reconditioned the Masjid al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and serviced Mecca and Medina with significant construction improvements. He was loyal to God with a dervish sincerity, and also states that he has a graceful affection approach to his public. Suleyman Mosque was built on one of the 7 beautiful hills of Istanbul for Kanuni Sultan Suleyman the Magnificent. By the architect Mimar Sinan, it was built in 7 years between 1550 to 1557. Within its building complex are found madrasas, a hospital, a hospice, a Turkish bath, etc. The magnificent Suleymaniye, that is considered the greatest mosque of Istanbul, was built with its complex on an area nearly 63,000 meters.
The building is conspicuous for its simple construction, acoustics, colorful stained glass windows, very precious granite columns, suite room, water tank with a fountain, 4 minarets, and 10 sherife, i.e. minaret balcony. The building cost of the mosque and its complex was 700,000 gold ducats, and 3,523 craftsmen worked on its construction. The tomb of the architect Mimar Sinan is out of the garden at the northeast side of the mosque.
All right, so we're here at Suleyman Mosque, and as you can see behind, we have an incredible view. I'll put the camera back, but I had to take it out again because the sun is setting, and the sun is shining onto one of the buildings, and it's creating this incredible color of gold onto the view behind me, especially onto the Galata Tower as well. And we are on one of the 7 hills that exist within Istanbul, and you have perhaps the best view of the Bosphorus, as well as the opposite side, which is the Galata Tower, and what is besides it, on the right and the left of it. So if you want to see this sunset, I highly recommend you guys to come over here to Suleyman Cami. Welcome to Sultan Ahmet's Cami, or Sultan Ahmet's Mosque, which is also known as the Blue Mosque as well. And I have some interesting piece of information that I wanted to share with you. This mosque is built on a former Byzantine palace, which is directly opposite to the glorious Hagia Sophia. The mosque was built on the site of the palace of the Byzantine emperors, and it's also next to where the Byzantine Hippodrome was as well. So this mosque is built within Sultan Ahmet Square, and also Sultan Ahmet, who built this mosque, he's just buried over here, so you can also come and see his tomb as well if you're visiting. In terms of mosques, the Blue Mosque holds a very special place in my heart because when I came to Istanbul for the first time in 2008 with my family, this was the mosque I used to always come to because my hotel was just a couple of minutes walk away. And every time I used to walk through the main door and see this masterpiece behind me, I would be in absolute awe of how grand it looks. So when I came back to Turkey 2 years ago and I knew that restoration works taking place, I think that I was missing that experience. So I'm really impressed after this restoration, because when I went inside and I saw the interiors, I was once again very impressed with what is already there, what we've already seen in the past, but it just looks in pristine condition now. And I'm just happy that they've taken time to do this. And now that I've walked inside, it was a reminder of what I used to feel 15 years ago when I first came over here. So this mosque has a very special place in my heart. When I used to come here for the first time, the Hagia Sophia was a museum at the time, and this was the one I used to come to, for the most part. And I'm so happy that it's open again. It's got some real memories for me. Now, I have come here during the time when this was being restored, but the space was heavily restricted. Now it's open, and this is one of the best masjids, like the top 3 masjids in the whole of Turkey. Something I want to share is that Sultan Ahmet was the one that built this masjid, the Blue Mosque, or it's called also as Sultan Ahmet Jami as well. So the Sheikh of Sultan Ahmet, his name is Sheikh Mahmud Huday. He was the very first person to have prayed Jummah, the Friday prayer, in this masjid. And interestingly, he's also the husband of Sultan Suleyman the Magnificent's granddaughter. And you can also go and see his tomb, which is situated in Üsküdar. All right, so today we are here at the Topkapi Palace. This is based in the Fatih district in Istanbul. Now, this was the royal residence of the Ottoman Empire between the years of 1478 to 1853. Topkapi Palace has been a museum ever since 1924 to the present day. And my favorite room over here by far is the Islamic relic room, where you see the relics of the prophets.
The Topkapi Palace is a large museum and library in the east of the Fatih district of Istanbul in Turkey. It served as the administrative center of the Ottoman Empire and was the main residence of its sultans. Construction ordered by the Sultan Mehmet the Conqueror began in 1459, 6 years after the conquest of Constantinople. It was given the name Topkapi, meaning Cannon Gate, in the 19th century. The complex expanded over the centuries with major renovations after the 1509 earthquake and 1665 fire. The palace consists of 4 main courtyards and many smaller buildings. Female members of the Sultan's family lived in the harem, and leading state officials, including the Grand Vizier, held meetings in the Imperial Council building. After the end of the Ottoman Empire in 1923, a government decree transformed Topkapi into a museum. Turkey's Ministry of Culture and Tourism now administers the Topkapi Palace Museum. The palace complex has hundreds of rooms and chambers, but only the most important are accessible to the public. The museum collection includes Ottoman clothing, weapons, armory, miniatures, religious relics, and illuminated manuscripts such as the Topkapi manuscript. The Topkapi Palace forms a part of the historic areas of Istanbul, a group of sites in Istanbul that UNESCO recognized as a World Heritage Site in 1985. The very first time I came to Istanbul was in the year 2008 with my entire family, and it was the first time I entered into the Topkapi Palace. At that time, I wasn't so aware of history, especially Ottoman history, and there are many that portray the Ottomans as bad people. But luckily, later on in life, I realized the Ottomans were absolutely incredible, and they were a massive positive for the world. And I realized that they were religiously devoted, immensely just, and their empire was based on justice. And now, each time I walk through the Topkapi complex, I'm just contemplating on the mountainous, legendary personalities in the likes of Fatih Sultan Mehmet Han, Yavuz Sultan Selim Han, Sultan Suleyman the Magnificent, and many others that walks through this magnificent complex, that from this very headquarters entered into 3 continents and 73 nations and achieved legendary greatness. But in spite of this formidable power, I often wonder at the extent of how beautiful their hearts must be. Because when a heart is beautiful, it manifests in the structures that you surround yourself in. And so when I look at the Topkapi Palace, even today, after several centuries, it looks as though it's in pristine condition. It looks as though it has newly been built. And I've been to many palaces across Europe, but the Topkapi Palace is by far the most distinguished, is by far the most impressive, is by far the most extraordinary. My favorite room in the Topkapi Palace is by far the Sacred Trusts room. This room holds many of the relics of prophets and of the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also has the sword of Prophet David or Dawood alayhi salam and the sword of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as his blessed companions. When the new Ottoman Sultan, Sultan Selim IV, arrives, he will hand over these sacred trusts to Imam Mahdi al-Islam in Konya. It is mentioned in a hadith by Prophet ﷺ in Jamia Saghir, one Selim will come and will take the sacred trusts, which indicates Sultan Selim I, who took the sacred trusts from the Abbasis in Egypt. And the second part of the hadith says, Allah Selim will come and will hand over the sacred trusts, which he will hand over to Imam Mahdi al-Islam in Konya. And this Sultan will be the 37th Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, Sultan Selim IV. You can read more about this in the book written by Eyup Effendi, The Lions of the Golden Apple. Now, Topkapi Palace has hundreds of rooms, and only a few of them are accessible. But even the few that are accessible, there are a lot of them. Like, you can spend quite easily you can spend at least 4 hours, if not the whole day over here, if you're going through each of the rooms, each of the chambers, each of the courtyards. Now, when you get to the end of the Topkapi Palace, you get to see the fortress, as well as the Golden Horn view. So you get to see the Galata Tower from here, over here. And it looks magnificent because obviously, as I mentioned before, you have the view of the Sea of the Bosphorus, but then you also have the view of the Galata Tower as well. So it's a very hot day as well. So the way that this palace has been designed, you can feel a gentle breeze. So Istanbul can get really hot during the summer. So the way that they've designed it, it feels as though there's a natural air conditioner or a natural air conditioning over here, or a natural fan that's playing for you. So that's a good way to keep cool and everything. So right now we are in the Garden of the Lions. So you'll see lions over here, one there. And it's a vast space, so there's good places to sit down. Now, we went to some of the rooms, and one of the rooms had the Takht, which is the throne of the Sultan. So we saw the throne of the Sultan. We saw the Iftari Pavilion, and what's fascinating about that is it's covered with gold. And again, it's situated in a place where you get to see the view of the Bosphorus as well as the Golden Horn. So you just imagine how the Sultans would have sat down and done this. I came here back in 2008, 14 years ago with my family, and that time I didn't really know much about the Ottoman Empire. The more you read about them, the more you understand how great they were. The achievements that they were able to accomplish is just remarkable. Now that I come over here, after all these years, and I came here last time in 2010, so now that I'm coming over here, I really appreciate it. Once you know more about this dynasty, and that's why I would actually recommend everyone to read a little bit about the Ottoman Empire if you can, and what their achievements were, how a dynasty of 624 years lasted, what they achieved, how they expanded, how they went into 3 different continents. Whether you are a fan of them or not, one of the great things about them is when you come over here, you see how incredible the architecture was. The people that were able to design the Topkapi Palace, for instance, well, one of the architects was Mimar Sinan, who is very famous for various different mosques that have been built and various different buildings that have been built in Istanbul. It's inspired by his design. So he was one of the architects of this palace. And they got the best of the best, the elite from the crop of the architects of their time to design this palace, and then also to do the interior design as well. So it's just marvelous. It's mesmerizing when you come over here and experience it. So that's why Topkapi Palace is a 10 out of 10. If you come to Istanbul, this is a must-see. Like, if you have 3 things to do over here in the city, I would highly recommend you to come to Topkapi Palace. It's one of the top 3 things that you can do. Like, if not the most important thing that you can do when you come to Istanbul itself. Like, just by coming over here, you can spend an entire day over here. So you get value for money. And I would obviously recommend that you get the museum pass so that you save money by coming over here. But this is a great way to get an introduction to Istanbul if you're coming here for the first time, because you get to understand the history. And this is not just any other city. This is a city that has like a lot of history. We are speaking about 2,000 years of history and beyond that. So this is one of the best centers to come to capture a large chunk, a large portion of that history. So with that said, like this video. Because the Topkapi Palace is so huge, you may not have enough time to go everywhere. Therefore, one of the suggestions I have for you is to check out the kitchen section of the Topkapi Palace, because there is an area where you can see where baklava was invented for the first time. Now, the image on the screen may not be so great due to bad lighting, but I had to show it to you. But do check it out if you're in the Topkapi Palace. In Arabic, the word haram means a holy place where not everyone is allowed to enter. It refers to private family life in Islamic countries. In the context of Ottoman palaces, harem was the private residence of the dynasty. It was forbidden to the public, The inscription above the door of the main entrance into the palace harem is from verse 53 of Ahzab Surah of the Quran, which says, "O believers, do not enter the house of the Prophet ﷺ without permission." The harem department of the Topkapi Palace was the living quarters of Sultan, the Sultan's mother, wives, children, and the siblings of the Sultans, as well as the maids and the black eunuchs who guarded the premises. Enderun was the educational institution for males who would work at the palace and government services. Likewise, harem was also an institution for training the women of the palace. The inscription above the entrance gate leading into the second courtyard dates back to 1586 and indicates that Sultan Murad III had expanded the harem. The gate was also referred to as the Gate of Girls due to being used by high-level women of the harem. The initial section of the harem department of Topkapi Palace were built alongside the Golden Road in the 15th century during the reign of Sultan Mehmet the Conqueror. In the second half of the 16th century, Suleyman the Magnificent's wife, Hurrem Sultan, moving to the harem from the old palace in Bayazid led to an increase in the number of buildings in the harem. Harem became fully institutionalized during the reign of Murad II. At this period, previously open-viewed and paved pathways gradually turned into closed courtyards. The chief architects of the period were Mimar Sinan and Daud Ah. The harem underwent many expansions during the reign of every subsequent sultan and today includes nearly 300 rooms, 9 baths, 2 mosques, 1 hospital, 1 laundry room, and numerous dormitories. The 2-story masjid is adjacent to the harem wall and covered with plasters imitating the pattern of a stone and brick wall. Its niche, mihrab, is laid with the 16th century tiles from Izmir.
Everything began as follows. While Sayyidina Suleyman al-Islam was exploring the whole world, he reached one morning the place where the Hagia Sophia stands now and built there a house of worship according to the Lord's high command. With all Ottoman masjids, you will find that the holy name of Allah, Prophet ﷺ, the Khulafa'i Rashidin, these are the 4 companions of Prophet ﷺ, as well as his grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. They're always mentioned, these blessed names are always mentioned. You can see in calligraphy writing, there's a teardrop under the name of Imam Hussein, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and it signifies his martyrdom in Karbala, along with 72 members of his family that are part of the Ahl Bayt, meaning they are from the family of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one of the most incredible pieces of information that we find in the book, The Lions of the Golden Apple, is that Suleyman alayhi salam was the one to have first established a house of worship exactly here where the Hagia Sophia is built today. And to my surprise, when we were outside of the Hagia Sophia just coming in, we read something in Turkish which mentioned this fact. And it's just incredible that this information is coming out now and it's becoming available, because you'll watch many videos and read many history books and you'll be told something completely different. So it's really good to know that it's not just going back in history, but history has layers, you know. So we are going deep into history and we're finding out where the origins of this house of worship really is from.
Mehmet II, commonly known as Mehmet the Conqueror, was twice the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire from August 1444 to September 1446, meaning between the ages 12 to 14, and then later from February 1451 to May 1481. At the age of 21, he conquered Constantinople and brought an end to the Byzantine Empire, as well as to the 1900-year Roman Empire, which is the longest reigning empire in history. After the conquest, Fatih Sultan Mehmet claimed the title Caesar of Rome. In a famous hadith, it was prophesied by Prophet ﷺ, "Verily, you shall conquer Constantinople. What a wonderful army will that army be, and what a wonderful commander will that commander be." Fatih Sultan Mehmet strived to be that commander, and he accomplished his dream in the year 1453. Fatih Sultan Mehmet was also reputed to be fluent in several languages, including Turkish, Serbian, Arabic, Persian, Greek, and Latin. He could speak all these languages as though he was native in each of these. During his reign, mathematics, astronomy, and theology reached their highest level among the Ottomans. For me personally, Fatih Sultan Mehmet is my favorite sultan because of the fact he was able to achieve something so monumental at such a young age. I made this video to be a top 21 video because Fatih Sultan Mehmet Han was 21 years of age when he conquered Constantinople. Can you imagine in today's era, someone at the age of 21 achieving something remotely as close as what Fatih Sultan Mehmet Han achieved? This is why the 2 times that I have gone to the tomb of Fatih Sultan Mehmet and entered into his presence, I'm just in absolute astonishment, awe, and admiration of just exactly what he achieved. I also enjoy going to the Jami of Fatih Sultan Mehmet Han, which is also within the complex where his tomb is placed. It is marvelously built in that Ottoman style, and it also shows his immense religious devotion and his service towards Islam and humanity. He was a devoted Sufi, and his spiritual mentor, Sheikh Shamsuddin, was someone that he had tremendous reverence for. Now, as I promised in the beginning, I will show you a bonus thing to do. So thanks for sticking by. And the bonus thing that you can do is, if you are in Istanbul for more than 5 days, I highly recommend you to go and visit Bursa. The easiest way I found is to get a ferry from Eminönü, which will take you to one of the best cities in the whole of Turkey. Now, in order to find out how to do this, you can check out my video, which will appear on the end screen, on how to get there. Catch you in the next one, inshallah.